Howdy, hackers, and welcome to another episode of FairLight TV. The last episode I recorded was on the topic of the prerequisites for a scene and looking through a number of countries and see if the prerequisites are met in these respective countries. I've taken the topic one step further today by naming my 3 top groups in each of those countries. That's a very, very dangerous move, of course, because there is a risk that I would forget some and I could have different opinions than you watching, and you could go totally bonkers because you are very, very passionate about your opinion. So don't take it too seriously, but in order to ensure that I minimize the risk of forgetting groups, and I would also bring in alternative views from somebody sort of competent in the area, I brought in 2 friends, Mr. Mouse of Genesis Project. He's also done sort of a survey or dug into the data of CSDB and did real-time or real tangible statistics on the topic. And he brought that with him to the table. And then also 2 Flower of Triad, being a very knowledgeable guy on scene activities in general. And he's also doing a bit of research on, especially on clusters of people forming their little sub-scene without having the connection to like the main scene, which I think is a generally interesting topic that we might have a separate episode over in the future. But over to the 3 best groups per country. Take it away. Hello, everybody. We are now going to dig into the area of who is the best C64 group in every country. We will pick 3 favorites. I will have my own opinion. Mr. Mouse will have his fact-based opinions, and I guess Micke, 2 Flower, would have his opinions. It will be a bit confusing that we have Mike and Micke, but I feel it's a bit weird to sit and say Mr. Mouse and 2 Flower, so I might slip into actually using their real name. So pay attention who I'm addressing now. Hello, guys. Are you worried that you would have like opinion on favorite things and you will no longer be able to go to a copy party without people getting mad at you?
Of course.
Okay, you want to take that? No, I think my opinion is just an opinion, right? And everybody will have their own favorites probably. And in the comments they will probably lash out at me for having favorites. But like you said, I'm going to be sort of fact-based, and fact-based meaning CSDB, Commodore Scene Database statistics, and maybe throw in a few comments on my own. But I'll just leave the numbers speak for themselves.
Cool, great. Let's see if I can do this. And now I hope I am sharing a screen and you actually see the screen I am sharing, right?
Yeah.
Super. So scene geography with Micke and Mike. I've written a little brief thing about you. So Mike, you did this Quantify Me. Could you just elaborate a bit on what that is?
Yeah, just briefly then. So 2010, I was looking at Commodore Scene Database, and having a bit of let's just say science background and epidemiology, I like numbers. So I was looking at that, and I thought, hey, maybe it's a good idea to take a look at what the data tells us, like what on the scene history. There's so much data in there now. So I did this analysis to look at like how many releases were there per year, who did that, which group was that, how many like different types of sceners were there, and also throughout the years. I wanted to just have some sort of grip on the scene, but just purely statistical or quantifying. And this is then I created this Quantify Me release in 2010. Where I sort of presented my first results. And then later on, I came back to that, say 10 years later, during the pandemic, where I again looked at the same data, but was much grown, a lot of more releases added to the database. So I release that, and then every year now I'll try to, when happening, for example, pushes me, hey, do another analysis. I'll do another analysis. Yeah.
Are you expecting to do it in 10 years? So, no, 2030, or would you do an intermediate in 2025?
Yeah, so I think 2025, I'll wait throughout this year, and then January 2026 would then be the report year, basically. Yeah.
Cool. And Mike, you are just here because you're generally insightful and you are equipped with a great judgment here. And there is also the little aspect that I would like you to dwell on, possibly in the end, somewhere where I pointed out, where you had a presentation at FairLight about not every part of the scene was actually kind of part of the same cluster. You had little islands being isolated from the main scene, but not now. I will have a little slot for you where you can dwell more on that. So let's first talk about a few of the principal things. So the group here, we are allocating groups to countries, which is a bit confusing for groups having members in multiple countries. Mike, could you start that one? What's your view on that?
No, absolutely. I think perhaps in, let's just say, the early years, groups were located at country level, or I would even say regional level within countries. But as it grew, I mean, of course, you can see it's an international scene. So I think the boundaries between countries was gone, and you can't really say that a group is from one country or the other anymore because it's so international. I think what you could say, it originated somewhere. Somebody started that group, and then it just grew and grew.
Yeah, well, you have a number of sort of odd things here. You have Red Sector originating in Canada, but nobody knows the three guys that started the group in Canada until Irata took over and made the group German. And I'd say you have the same with Genesis Project. Genesis Project had like one lifespan where it was predominantly a German group, and now it's very much a Swedish group. And I have the same issue with Ikari being an UK group to start with, but for me, they were all Danish. All the guys I knew, and the key players in Ikari, they were Danish.
Yeah, the which was based on the foundations of Jules, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've tried to be consistent with the originating country as defined in CSDB here, but I will make the exception for Ikari. I will still make them Danish. I've been consistent with CSDB, but I made an exception there, so bear with me. And then this all sceners not being connected. Micke, do tell about that, because you've been digging around in that, right?
Yeah, at some point, people have always been reached by the scene's releases and grown interest, but they haven't had contact with the scene. They just made things along with their friends locally, and then it grew up a local scene, which is just there. It happened in the Netherlands, it happened here in Sweden, it has happened at many places. But these scenes have usually grown together by some means.
But I mean, you had people in South America, the guys from Argentina that we sort of recently connected with, and they've been there all the time. We just never met them.
No. Yeah. Exactly. So when it just grew more alive and more international, they grew into the scene as well.
Cool. I think that might be worth a special episode, actually. So let's just touch on that, because I would like to have that mentioned in the context. The last thing here that I just like to touch before we get into the gory details is that some like cracking groups, some like demo groups, and some appreciate groups that could stay on like not leaning on one leg, but having multiple legs here. And if you are a demo guy and you really don't care about cracking groups, then you might be a bit disappointed if there are a number of cracking groups, and vice versa, of course. Any views on that?
I mean,
Well,
yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead, Mika.
It's a natural split in the scene. Some demo guys really haven't cared at all about the cracking scene, and vice versa. The cracking scene have not cared much about the demo scene, and it is like that now as well.
Right. I think it's what primary interest was originally when they started doing things, and I think it's the challenge of cracking, programs that led some of them that way, and then demos the other way. I think both are fine, right? So, and you can do both as well. But at that time, I think there was a separation, and even frowned upon, one on the other, right, for doing cracks and not demos and not showing the skills. But I think you had to have skills for anything, and all of those things. And I feel, you hear also a lot about reed crackers. That's a totally different topic, right? But I looked at your first video on YouTube as well, on this topic, right, before this one, and I think spreading the word and spreading the scene. I mean, crackers, of course, did a tremendous job, and their spreaders in getting that scene out there, right? Because of the gamers having those cracks, and people then like me, wow, that's great ABC crackings, right? Who are these guys? How they're masters? How do they do this? To generate interest to become, one of the scene ourselves. So each of them have very good points. What made the scene?
That's a really interesting topic. I guess my view would be that the cracking scene always had the intention of spreading their stuff. Otherwise, they wouldn't reach out. Whereas demo guys, a number of people, of course, release their stuff on parties. But if you did demos in other times than like in between parties, then the only mechanism to push them out, that was through the spreaders more associated with the cracking scene, I'd say.
Agreed.
But not in the beginning. I've been thinking about like CompuNet.
Yeah.
The early demos were spread there instead of by mail.
Right. Especially the UK guys, the Stoten Tim and Ian and Mick, and yeah, we will get to those. That's hold that thought, Mika. That's very good. Thanks. I just also like to mention one of my blushing stories. I wrote for a company or a magazine in Sweden called Dator Magazine, which was sort of the leading one here in Sweden. And I forgot to mention Triad. So, Micke, please accept my apologies. Like, I don't know, 30 years posting this. So, I've said this many times, but that was humbly... I'm still so ashamed over that. But I'll just like to show you the picture, how it looked. And, Micke, I know you have a favorite aspect here of this one.
Yeah. It's the beer bottle for Denmark there. It's fantastic.
This one is also covering Amiga, by the way, which we will not do today. We will only cover the C64, even if, of course, some groups are extending between the two platforms. What will you say, Mike? Do you consider the Amiga scene and the C64 scene as one scene, or are they separate?
I would still probably separate them, although there's clearly, back and forth between those two, or people leaving the 64 scene to the Amiga scene. But I think we could also consider it one Commodore scene. So, I'm fine either way what people would call it. I don't know, Mickey, what do you think?
Yeah, but sort of it's a hard question, because would you say that the Atari scene is the same? Is this the same scene as well? I mean, in the Netherlands, it was pretty much so. I mean, with the Hotline and the Elitendo guys, they're the same people, but still, that's two different scenes, in my point of view.
Yeah. I would subscribe to that idea. I think the there is a lot of kind of floating back and forth between the C64 and the Amiga, to the extent where I would be ready to say that that is probably one scene, whereas Atari and PC, that would be something else, where you would have less floating between the different technical platforms under the same name. All right, and then we had a more specific one here with USA, Australia, and also Scandinavia. Yeah, well, that was that, and I should have added Triad here on the PowerPoint. Okay, I've had AI suggest for me the groups here that are the leading ones in each of the countries. So in UK, Ikari, Germany, TriStar, Netherlands, 1001 Crew, blah, 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 blah. Belgium, the band. I've never heard of them, and I tried to watch CSDB, and I didn't find them there either. Yeah. And Poland, yeah, I don't think that's an existing group either. So don't always trust AI. It's better to do proper research. Okay, and then also CSDB here. So here you have scener country. So the number of sceners per country, you would have Germany with 6,110 sceners, which is 17.2% of all the sceners. And then you have groups, which is the one here on the right. And they are basically the same. Germany, the US, Sweden, Netherlands, and then you have Poland and Denmark just being flipped, and then Hungary, Norway. Yeah, basically the same. Okay. And I would like to stress this multiple times. I am already sorry that we will have forgotten a number of really great groups, and you would have opinions and you will use the comment field for that. That's great. Just be respectful and feel free to comment on the ones that we missed. So what I did was I picked my 3 favorites without, like, blindly what I felt myself, and then I took a look at CSDB, and then I looked at each of the country with and all the groups with 8 or more as sort of the group ranking here. And in some countries I needed to lower that to 6 to even find a number of relevant groups, but the fine thing here is you need a number of votes before you even get like a metrics here. So most really small groups, they wouldn't get enough votes to actually have like a value here in this field. But you would always have older groups that possibly modern sceners, when CSDB was introduced, they wouldn't even know of these old groups that were really prominent at the time. So I'm not saying this is a perfect way of doing it, but I sort of cross-reference my own opinions on that. And I should also say that the top 3 are in random orders, and countries are also sort of in random order. So are you ready, guys?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, let me see it.
So Finland, my favorites would be Byte Rapers, Finnish Gold, and Beyond Force. And when picking those, I also took into account Ecstasy, Extend, Artline, Origo, Topaz Beerline, and then to some extent also like a one-man army like Finland Cracking Service, FCS. But my 3 favorites in Finland are these. Mike, you go first on this one.
I mean, if I bring in stats, and I did look at the top 30 groups, let's just say those that were in the heyday active, there's no Finnish group in there, the top 30. In terms of releases, right? Because I'm talking about releases and the number of releases, and then but one of my favorites definitely from Finland is the top one that you mentioned here. I mean, you didn't pick 1 or 2 or 3 in like a top, but Byte Rapers, I always found them to be, again, talking about where they were active, multiple platforms. But yeah, what I saw from them on Commodore, I really loved. Yeah.
Mika?
I don't know. Yeah.
Your opinions here?
Yeah, I really missed the 2 groups that you mentioned the first, Extend and Ecstasy. I mean, for cracking, the only one which was really important in Finland was Rockstar, and that is ecstasy. So yeah, he deserves to be mentioned, and the Extender has been delivering from the early 90s. Number one.
Who would you have picked as number 3 then, beyond these two?
Yeah, I would say Bite Rapist or Beyond Force.
Okay. Cool. You nailed the format, so I like this. This is good discussions. Let's go to another country very close to where I am, Norway. So I picked Illusion, Panoramic Design, and Offense. And doing that, I also took into account Abnormal, Hoaxers, Megastyle, Shape, Rawhead, and Prosonics. So, Mika, you first now.
Yeah, I would go for Illusion and Offense as the big two, of course. And I would put in also Shape, which was important in the early scene. Also have done some really great stuff lately. So that's my top 3.
Yeah, thanks. Mike?
Yeah, I think Illusion definitely an Offense would be what I would call one of my favorites. Also, when I look at the stats, again, coming back with some stats. So Illusion is in the top 30 of the heyday period, 1982, 1994. So yes, absolutely, they come up there. So I would pick with some stats, Illusion.
Okay, and number 3. Again, so if you Illusion and Offense, which one would you pick as number 3 then?
I'm fine with Panoramic Design.
Okay, cool, thanks. All right, and now Denmark, and this was difficult, but because here you would have, I found so many that I found worthy of being here, and still I started with somebody who shouldn't even be here. So Ikari should be in the UK, but I still have it here. And then Dominators, and then my good friends in Triangle. Danish Crackers, really early group. Sodan, Sodan is a good friend, and his Flying Crackers. Ace, where Sodan, I guess, was also in. Camelot, Papillons with the absolutely beautiful intros. Danish Gold with good friend Turtle. 2000 AD, I never really knew them, but they were also one of the really good guys here. Jewels, Upfronts, Brain Using, Demo Section, Buds, The Terminators in Denmark, and Weesax. Did I have Jewels? Yeah, Jewels, I had Jewels here, so they are here as well. So top 3 in a big chunk of groups to choose from. Mike, you first on this one then.
So Dominators definitely an Ikari, clearly. I mean, who would not pick them? CSDB says yes as well. So Ikari, we talked about it. They're way up there in terms of activities as well as Dominators, I must say. What also came up was X Factor. So they were mentioned as originating from Denmark as well, 1989.
Yeah.
And they're in the top 30 of that heyday period. So I don't know what you think about X Factor.
I'm now good friends with a few of the members. They were always for me like a little brother kind of thing. So I did look down on them a bit, I must admit, when I'm mature enough to say that. But yeah, it's also worth mentioning. I should have mentioned them as well. Thanks for that. Mika, you?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I would also place Ikari here in Denmark, partly at least, both in the UK and Denmark.
Yeah.
But the 3 I mentioned earlier is the most important ones in the Scandinavian cracking scene, I would say. They were active from 1987 until the end. I mean, 93, 94, I think. So that's the most important group for me. Triangle is also really important, I think. But you forgot Bonsai. Where are they?
I hope I mentioned them between Danish Gold and 2000 AD. I have them here in my show notes, so if I didn't say it, they should have been mentioned. So yes, Mika, thanks. That's why we're 3.
I would say they have been one of the most important demo scenes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I fully agree. I fully agree, Mika. Yep.
Trap and Vault. good guys. I wouldn't want to go to a party where they don't go because they are such nice guys to hang out with. And of course, they could be nice guy without being good sceners. I have such friends as well, but they are actually both. So, yeah. But and I cannot stress Ikari enough, because for me they were one of the groups. I mean, the collaboration with Talent, where they always pushed really quality cracks fast, but didn't kind of mess up. They were never sloppy. It was always quality work. So yeah, great group.
One question I have, I mean, would you also then start considering music groups like Vibrance or Maniac of Noise?
Yeah, I have that. I have Mon in Holland, but
Right.
yeah, JCH and his Vibrance. Yes, I would definitely have them here as well, and they just kind of flew under the radar here. So, all right. This is home turf, and of course both Micke and me are represented here, so and that was probably not a surprise. So I did FairLight Triad, and I had Genesis Project here first, but I've moved Genesis Project to Germany so I can leave a spot for one of the other Swedish groups, Boost Design. But when doing this, I considered Horizon, Sensor, West Coast Crackers, Relax, Swedish Cracking Crew, Computer Brains, Light, Noise, Science 451, Xack, Super Swap Sweden, One Way, my own old group, and then of course the one-man army, Mr. Z. I mean, he's already covered here by Triad, but he might also be seen as a group on his own, given how he kind of, yeah, the scene kind of sprung very much out of his activities, so we owe him so much, but he's covered using Triad here. Any views? Micke, is this you first?
Yeah, okay, well, I would agree. Triad and FairLight would be the top ones for me as well. And on the third spot, I know the Boost Design guys too well to vote for them.
Yeah.
But no, I would actually say I would put Sensor here as well. They have been a powerhouse in both scenes for ages. Sloppy, but really good.
Yeah, I do agree. That's I was sort of flipping between the two, and given Computer Brains was also one of those that I really wanted here. So this is also a place where I would like to have like at least 5 to cover kind of all the bases. But yeah, Mike.
I mean, I can't argue with these, honestly. And also looking at stats, it's the same. You know, FairLight Triad definitely way up there. Boost Design I really like. I also actually like One Way that you mentioned. So honestly, I really looked at those at your products as well with pleasure. And Sensor, I agree, Mika. It should also be here. So maybe you need a longer list for Sweden here, Pontus.
Yeah, well, I mean, the number of spots could be proportional to the number of sceners, I guess, but that's not the way I did it today. So yeah, we have to live with this.
Good point. Yeah.
All right, Netherlands. Also very difficult to pick with so many favorites. 1001 Crew, my old heroes, they have to be here. And then this Success and Ruling Company. I guess Success is German, and Ruling Company they would be from the Netherlands. So I cheated and snuck in Success here. Judges, also one of my absolute favorite groups of all times. Their Think Twice 1 and Think Twice 5 are amongst the absolute best demos ever done. But I also consider Hotline, Blackmail, ABC Cracking, Federation Against Copyright, Focus, Maniacs of Noise, Vision. Yeah, Mike, this is your home turf, so take it away.
Yeah, so I think for the Netherlands you could also have a longer list. So honestly, for me, Hotline is definitely something from top. 101 Crew, definitely heroes. ABC Cracking, put them up there. I mean, I can go on, and what you have on screen there, absolutely fine. But I would say Hotline, also from a stats perspective, the rules, together with the Ikari, I must say, let's be fair and try it, but they ruled those days and so many releases. Yeah, so I would definitely put them on the slide if you ask me. Yeah.
Yeah. So you would take Hotline rather than the ruling company here?
I would probably, or I would remove the judges, for example, because I also have, I also like the ruling company. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's difficult to pick.
Yeah. That's why you have three spots. So you need to pick.
Yeah.
I must say on Hotline, the name of Hotline is stained for me because one of the episodes I've done was the crack of Star Pause, which has a very intricate protection that the tape, it measures how long it takes from the end of load until the end of the physical tape, because then the play button goes up. So it measures that distance, and if it's too short, the game won't work, or it messes with the game, so it crashes in like the third level or whatever. And the same if it goes too far, the game also crashes. So that it needs to be in a narrow interval. And the only person who actually managed to crack that properly was Mr. Z. And then I found a number of cracks from other groups that simply picked Soltan's solution, because he also tagged it with MRZ, but reversed. So nobody understood that, and they just took his little patch, implemented it in their own game without crediting him or anything. And Hotline did that as well.
Yeah, I hear you, and I think if we would be honest and we would really look into a lot of code, I'm pretty sure a lot of people stole from others in demos, in cracks, and everything. And let's not even get started about recracking.
Oh. All right, Micke, your favorites here.
I would say Success in the Ruling Company, of course, which is a staple here. And then we have also Hotline, which is important for me, I think. And either Vision or Success. No, not Success, Scoop Designs.
Oh yeah, love it. Scoop. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't have them here.
Yep. They also were vital to the scene in the Netherlands. Yep.
Super, thanks. Yeah, didn't have those on the list. Are they unrated under 8, or why didn't they come up?
I don't know.
We don't know. Let's go to the neighbor, Belgium. To be honest here, that was also one of the things that confused me a bit. Legend. I would place Legend in Austria, given that sort of the main guy for me was Antitrack, and he's for sure in Graz in Austria. So, but Legend, Commando Frontier, and Warriors of the Wasteland. And here I must say that I needed to kind of lower into groups that scored 6 or higher, because Warriors of the Wasteland, they are scoring really low. So I mean, they have a very long list in their history, but seemingly they are underappreciated, I guess, because they had a really low score. And then Raiders of the Lost Empire would be one of the other groups I would have considered here from Belgium. But yeah, Mick, I guess it's you first now.
Yeah, I would agree. Legend, Power Plant first. Of course, that's the most important in Belgium, I think. And then also, let me see, I had something on my mind right now. Yeah, Roll, of course. I would place them at number 2. Raiders of the Lost Empire. Yeah. And probably WoW as the 3rd.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Mike?
Yeah, Legend definitely top. And there was Warriors of the Wasteland. I mean, if you look at the releases, the number of releases, they're evenly matched. So Legend and no, not Legend and Raiders of the Lost Empire. They're evenly matched in terms of all-time releases. But WoW is definitely up there as well with them. So they were very active. They're actually doing all-time. They're the top Belgian group in terms of the number of releases that they did. But for me, legend tops it, honestly.
Yeah.
I have very fond memories of what they did.
Sorry, guys, if you anticipated that we would have arguments over this. It seems that we agree on lots of things here. That's actually quite good. Okay, I've cheated here. I have no idea, but for me, Dynamic Duo, they are from Netherlands, and they are not. I cannot find why I would match them. It could be that most of my heroes were actually from the Netherlands, so I'm sort of assuming that they were from the Netherlands as well, but no. So here I have Genesis Project, and then I stuffed all the groups that sort of belong together here. Rad War, Flash, and the Light Circle are sort of, for me, one cluster that I can have as one entry. And then my good friends in the Sharks, and then I also added Dynamic Duo. So sorry, guys, I've cheated here. But considering this, I also had Action, German Cracking Service, Hitmen, Jedi, Oxyron, Yeti, TriStar, and Red Sector. We will get to Red Sector, but at least TriStar is very German. Excess, Alpha Flight, Crazy, Elite, Master Design Group, Padua, Section 8, Shining 8, 7-Eleven, X-Ray, Crest, Paramount, Beastie Boys, and the list goes on. I mean, this is the country with the most seen groups and the most sceners, so it's no surprise that there will be a number of really good ones. I guess Mike goes first on this one.
I mean, Genesis Project, of course, I would say, because it's my home turf now as well, but also based on the history of Genesis Project, definitely. I would put it top. But there are so many things that are good, like Radware you mentioned. Yeah, I mean, when I did these first analysis of the database, I also was surprised to find that Dynamic Duo was German. So it's like, whoa, wait a minute, these guys came from Germany. There was also Beastie Boys. They're actually pretty up there. Like they're the second German, besides Genesis Project in the top 10 in that heyday period. So they were very active. I think it's always interesting to look at, okay, what was the original scene and the current scene like? Because some groups, like of course, like Triad and FairLight, Genesis Project, they went on and they kept producing and stuff. Right, so they're part of the old gang, but there are a lot of the old gang that just stopped after the scene basically, the Commodore stopped. So it's for me interesting to see, okay, what were the big shots then, and then what are the big shots now as well. So then there's in the all-time release groups, then you get even more German groups, such as Laxity is now place 6 in all-time releases, and Excess place 7. They weren't there in the top 30 in the heyday.
Yeah, Micke, you?
Yeah, I would sort of like to mention the cluster with Enigma. They were German, right?
I guess, yeah.
And Avant-Garde, those guys. And Action, of course. I would say, and Genesis Project is also a part of this. But as you say, Germany is a big scene country, the biggest one. Yeah. So it's natural that there's a lot of different ones. But Germany's elite, of course, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to pick here. Germany was kind of standing out. They had their own magazines, 64, and they had their books, the Databecker books. So you had a number of people who could get. I mean, they have access to very good information. The rest of us, we needed to go for English sources, but they also had kind of sources in their own language, which I guess helped as well to kind of learn and become really proficient in this field. So yeah, Germany very difficult. Yes,
we had two magazines as well, Commodore Info and Commodore Dossier.
Oh.
So they were also in local language and. Yeah. But I must say the 64 64 German magazine that was really good in terms of the details and the coding that they did, right? And I didn't find that in the Dutch ones, to be fair.
No, I mean I wrote for the Auto magazine in Sweden, and that was the magazine that most people interested in the machine read. But and we did have coding stuff there as well, both for C64 and Amiga, but not to the level of the German ones. They kind of stood out as better than the rest of us.
We are still waiting for the coding articles from Hanaud.
Yeah. But he was writing for Oberoende Computer, the Uavhängige Computer, the Danish one, which had a Swedish edition. That's where I met Daniel, actually.
Oh.
We wrote for the same magazine there before I went to the Auto magazine. Okay, Austria, Cosmos, Laser, and the Ancient Temple. And here I have no alternatives that I would like to mention. So, yeah. These are the only three I would like to reference, because they competed with no others, according to me. Yeah, Micke, are you first now?
Yeah, well, I would surely agree on this one. Cosmos for me is the important part of the Austrian guys.
Yeah.
They were really great, both in doing demos and when it comes to making games.
Yeah.
Not much cracking, but little of that too.
Yeah, Hannes Sommer was something else, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike?
I would have a hard time mentioning groups at all. I think Laser is the one that springs to mind. If you look at the list, that's also the one from Austria that's actually in the top 30. So Laser is the one. And I couldn't name others, to be fair. I have to be honest here.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a country German speaking, so they would have access to the stuff that they did they had in Germany, and I mean it's a high GDP country. So why is this? Was this a country where Spectrum or Amstrad or any of the other computers were really prevalent, or why is Austria this poor?
I don't know. I mean, it has to do with the number, like the population size. I have no idea.
I think it should be the same as Sweden. It's, I mean,
Right.
I'd say somewhere between 5 and 10 million, and that would be my guess. But
or maybe coming back to where you started off with opening question, there was somehow disconnects between people. I don't know.
All right. Yeah, well, we killed the Ancient Temple because we recruited Ayatollah, and then the group died. So I've done my share of killing Austrian scene groups. I'm sorry about that. All right. Yeah, and I hear I didn't find any flag country, so it was one of the maps. And this one is also a bit weird, but Switzerland, Atlantis, Crazy, and then SCA. And here I've also considered CFA. I didn't consider that, but Hedning nagged me into also mentioning them. And then also Alcatraz, which is basically the C64 leg of the Amiga group Alcatraz. But this is also a country with surprisingly small scene as Austria. Any comments? Mike, you first now?
Yeah, again, very difficult to name. Atlantis, of course. But I think Atlantis now also, I think they started in 1991, so that's pretty late as well. But they went on, right? So they continued. So they're actually in top 30 now as the only Swiss group. Yeah. Mika?
Well, I don't know that much about other groups from this country. As the one Hedning mentioned, what was it? CFA?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one, say for these ones, which I've ever heard of coming from Switzerland, I think.
Yeah. Right. I should be able to spell it out, but I'm not going to dig through the conversation I had with Hedning yesterday, so we'll skip that one. CFA might have been there, for all I care. For me, SCA, I think this is the same group that did the Amiga virus, the Your Computer is Alive, right? They are the same Swiss group.
I think so.
All right. Okay. Now also a bit strange. France, I've only been able to mention two groups. Transcom, excellent guys. Baby Gang, yeah, very old and had their peak, and then they were lost, and they tried to rebuild them a number of years ago, but that didn't really happen. So I have no other name, so I couldn't even fill like a dummy group on group number 3 here.
Yeah, well, I would also point out Poltergeist was a group from France, which was
Okay.
kind of very active and made a number of cracks, which was quite locally spread. The interesting thing about France, I think, was that most of these guys were close to the Belgian border, not in central or south of France, and in Paris, of course, but not that much. The French scene was mainly, I believe, Atari. So that's probably why.
And Amstrad and other brands. So C64 was rather small, and then they also had Minitel. So they had one other kind of technical thing and sort of a precursor for internet. So France went into, I would say, sort of a dead end with Minitel, and it took them a long time to actually kind of get out on the internet and learn other things. So it was a technical step that they took, but it was sort of a dead end, if you ask me. All right. Now we go to Italy. Hokuto Force, F4CG, Italian cracking service, and here I'm also a bit puzzled about F4CG. For me, they are from Netherlands, and they also had very strong presence in Sweden with the guys around news copy. But yeah, for all I care, they should be here, so I placed them here as well. Mickey, you go first.
Yeah, well, I would agree. This is other three which I would have placed too. F Quadro CG and Hokuto Force. Yeah, definitely the top three. I don't think I would be able to mention a third really big Italian group, to be honest.
Mike, you?
We're not going to debate on this one either. So this is definitely the three, and I wouldn't be able to name anyone else. They're also all in the top 30, so they did good jobs, and I think everybody knew F4CG back then. So yeah, Italian group by origin.
Super. And before I change, I would like to apologize in advance for the map here. I searched for this, and they are putting the Union Jack all across the Republic of Ireland as well, which is a great shame. I love Ireland as a country and as an island. So I think this is a bit blasphemous, but look away and just listen to what we say, and don't look at the map here because it's actually a bit ugly. Here I will do NATO, Talent, and then Scouts Cracking Group. I need to mention Laser as well, or Steve would pest me forever. But I would have considered Ash and Dave, Ian and Mick, which I think is the same guys that are also in Fusion. And then Stoat and Tim, Rat and Ben, Donut Cracking Service, and Mayhem. Yeah, those are the ones. And both of the, or most of those X and Y, they are also from CompuNet, I believe. Most of them had sort of their starting period from CompuNet in England there. Okay, yeah, I don't remember which one will go first, but Mike, you.
Yeah, Talents definitely. All those names we've seen, like Stoat and Tim, and I think they really came from the CompuNet scene, from the Zap 64 scene, the Commodore user, that period. There's also Pulsar from the United Kingdom, and they're actually in the top 30 as well. So I would probably also mention Pulsar then. Donor tracking service, also top 30. So yeah. But I remember a lot of these individual, like Ash and Dave, the early days, right? Their demos, intriguing.
Yeah. And here we should possibly also mention one of the one-man armies, Derbyshire Ram.
Of course,
he's not a
yeah.
group on his own, but he's a bit like the Finland's cracking service. One of those guys that could form a group on his own. Yeah, Micke, your views on this?
Yeah, I would place Ikari here as well.
Yeah.
As in Denmark, Paul and the guys ran it in 87 to 88. Then they basically quitted and left over the torch to the Danes, I would say. But just Ice and Paul and what's the third? Tridos, I think. What's ones? Talent, of course, and the Derbyshire Ram within that one, and the Scousers, yes.
And one of the things I've learned very late is that Scouse is the term for somebody from Liverpool. So Scouse cracking group is basically Liverpool's cracking group. Yeah. Yes, Micke.
Yeah, and then Fusion, they were important in 88, I would say.
Yeah, so Ian and Mick are the same as Fusion, so they were also mentioned here, but I didn't have them as one of the top threes. Okay, super. Poland. Yeah, one of the reasons why I dug into this geography thing in the first place was that I've had people complaining that I talk too little about Poland. So this is Poland. And here I'd say that I found it to be rather easy this time to pick the three, Elysium, Samar, and Arise. I would probably actually rank them according to that as well. But then Lepsi and Taboo would also be sort of honorary mentions here. Yeah, so these are the fives I would like to highlight, and the three top ones are already here. So yeah, Micke, you go first now.
I would say it was sacrilegious to not mention Slaves of Keyboard in the mention of Poland.
Okay, yeah.
They were the first. They were the absolute. I think before even the Iron Curtain was raised, they were active in Poland. So they were the first C64 group there, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
And of course Elysium and Samar and Taboo, I would say.
You would have Taboo over Arise?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay, I think the person complaining about Poland not being mentioned is a member of Arise, so I would like to have them there, even if their group is abbreviated Rs, which I think is a bit comic, but... Yeah, Mike, you?
I probably won't have Samar up as first as well.
They were not really active in the heydays, right? I think that's sort of one of the things with Poland and Polish group. You had a number of really prominent Polish sceners in many other groups, but groups seen as Polish, the rest of us had a head start on Poland, which is totally unfair, of course. But
yeah. No, and I think you mentioned it correctly in your previous episode. Is this sort of twofold peaks, right? Let's just say the original Western European countries having their scene, and then Poland coming later, and some others as well later. So they were late to the scene, but they were a big scene, part of the 64 scene. The only group that's actually in the all-time release top 30 is Samar from Poland. So.
Excellent. Okay, Hungary.
Yes.
Chromans, Lethargy, and Faces. And Chromans, I think they are sort of the logical successor to FBI Crew. But if I should mention others, it would be Triumvirat, Singular, Breeze, Chorus, Resource, and then, of course, then FBI Crew. But for me, these are the three ones that are sort of obvious to me. But yeah, Mike, you first now.
Chromans and Faces, definitely FBI, and those are the three that I would mention.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember some nice visits to Hungary. to visit Faces as well.
Okay, no, Cromans, Painkiller was one of the guys I swapped with a lot and discussed, and I even did an intro maker for Cromans at one point. So yeah, they were good friends. Which of course bias my view here, but I think it would still be the same even if I was unbiased.
Yeah, I visited Henry of Faces at his holiday residence there. Yeah, it was nice.
So Micke, who did you hang out with from Hungary?
I would say Cromans top, of course, or the FBI crew for the transformation, and then we have also Chorus. I think they have been important in the demo scene lately, since the early 90s, and Faces.
So basically the same. I just picked a demo group here, and you would prefer somebody who is also doing other things. Great.
So interestingly, one comment I can make, if you look at the all-time releases, so a latecomer would be Singular from Hungary.
Yeah.
They started in 1995, but they still, I mean, I'm looking at the data from 2020. So, but they had almost 600 releases as of that time, which is most of all the Hungarian groups. No, that's not true. Romans was topping that, but then Singular.
Okay. Super. Now we're getting very far away. Australia, and for me there is a first one, and then comes nothing, and then comes nothing, and then you have other groups. So Onslaught, given that Jazzcat lives in Tasmania, it just has to be the first one here. And then picking two other ones was a bit difficult, but then Lithium and Terra. I think I swapped with Terra, and that's why I have them here. But yeah, I don't have any others. Yeah, Mike, should you go first?
Yeah, so definitely Onslaught, that's the one. There were some other groups that I swapped with as well. I'm trying to, it's Brian Reed. This is his name. Now I'm forgetting his group. So this is why, who you don't even know the group that he was in, but you know Onslaught. So it will come back to me, Brian Reed, in which group he was. But we actually exchanged a lot of, we can speak like this in a video call, but we were recording our voices on a tape and sending that back and forth between Australia and the Netherlands to talk about the scene. It was good, but also talk about life and in general. Yeah. And I don't know the group. This is a shame that I don't remember the group in which he was, but it will come back to me.
Okay, well, do read the comments, and you would have Mike commenting here down below. So that's a good thing.
I will. I will do that.
Yeah, Micke, Australia.
Yeah, in the entire continent of Australia, I would also say only Onslaught is really worth it in the long run. And but Terra is worth a mention. They did some good stuff early before Onslaught existed. So, but yeah, I haven't seen much Lithium stuff at all, or from any other groups. And the Roadrunner, the stuff, and the guys were from Australia, but I can't place the groups.
Okay, excellent. Well, we had visits from Jazzcat and Vengeance a number of years ago, so they went to one of the local parties in Västerås. So I've actually met them in person, even if they live on the other side of the globe. Cool. Canada, and I already touched upon this Red Sector being Canadian. That feels a bit wrong, and Eaglesoft, I guess 95% of all would place them in the US, but CSDB places them in Canada, and then Empire. Yeah, and I don't have any others. These are the three. So yeah, Micke, you would be first now.
Yeah, well, I would agree. I don't really know a lot of Canadian groups. So Empire, of course. Eaglesoft, I didn't really count as Canadian, but of course, the CSDB says they are. I guess it's right. And Red Sector, yeah. So that's it. No argues.
Mike?
Nope, no argues here either.
No hope that you would argue here.
No, there's no argument. This is the way it is. Yeah, Eaglesoft, Red Sector Empire.
Super. Okay, and now we go to their neighboring country in the south, the US. So, and here my own personal favorite is, since we have taken away Eaglesoft, then the favorite will be JJ the Breaker in UCF. My good friends in Style and then Exodus, but then several of the other groups to me have been predominantly doing imports, so I've not really seen much of what they've done themselves, so to speak. But let's add International Network of Chaos, Fucked Beyond Repair, the Shaolin Monastery, A Touch of Class, Northeast Crackers / Northeast Importers, and then more recently Army of Darkness. Yeah, Mike, you first now.
Yeah, so I would still include them, the Northeast Crackers, and Fucked Beyond Repair as well.
Yeah.
So that will be definitely on this list for me.
And would they replace any of the three I've mentioned?
Probably Exodus. I would replace.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to pick, right? So you have to pick a top three, not top four. So then UCF may also go.
Well, I cheated, so feel free to cheat a bit. That's fine. that's fine.
I mean, for me, no USA without Northeast Crackers and Fuck Beyond Repair.
Oh, okay. Cool. I had Asterix of Fantasy calling me on a near daily basis during one period of time, but because he was importing my stuff to the US. So yeah, and I didn't even mention them in my list here. So,
but
yeah.
I mean, honestly, the US scene in itself is also quite different, right?
Yeah.
The prime market for Commodore, right? But they had all kinds of activities, user groups that were very important, but that were not always leading up to scene type of releases. So you could spend a whole episode probably on the USA alone, on how that scene unfolded. Yeah. Yeah,
I agree. Micke, your comments over the USA and not the political status of today, but the scene-related activities that the country indulged in.
Yeah, the important facts about the US, I would say, is that they were the #1 BBS country.
Yeah.
This was held a shitload of BBSs during the day. Almost one in every big city. And that NECNE is, of course, one of the important ones, and A Touch of Class. So that they would push Style out of the list, I'm afraid.
Okay, so you would have Northeast Crackers and A Touch of Class as your two, and the third one would be?
Yeah, but UCF.
Okay, cool. We did agree. We do agree on too much. That's weird. Then there is no tension. But then I add Israel, and that's also always a source for tension. So, and here I would like. I mean, if you look at the list of countries, Israel is lower than a number of the other. Turkey is before, and I even think countries like Croatia would be before that. But I would like to mention Israel just because the Force. So it's a group founded in 1985. It's one of the really old legendary groups, and it would be a shame if they were not mentioned. So I'm bringing up Israel just for the opportunity of pointing out the Force. Yeah, Micke, any views?
No, nothing.
Right.
I mean, again, from a music group perspective, Ship Scratches, right? So,
which was a part of the Force.
Yeah, but I will maybe if I want to have two groups, I'll put them together like two. But Gear Chelta, of course, I mean, honestly, master, right? But it's all part of the same. I agree. Yeah, so you're right.
Okay. That was actually everything for today. We ran out of countries. The lower ones I would find very difficult to put any group names on, but then I would need CSDB to do all the work for me, and that would be unfair because it's supposed to be also a number of groups that I would know from the top of my head, so I wanted that.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can stop the sharing here and see bigger versions of ourselves. So thank you guys so much for your time, and thank you for the preparatory work you've done. You've had your little list, and I've not been able to see them beforehand. We should say that because I wanted them to be a bit of a surprise for me. But I shared my cards to the guys, so they knew that.
Very good.
Super. I think this has been a really good episode, and I hope we upset a few people, but not too many.
Pretty sure we did.
And I would like to have your respectful comments below. If you disagree and the groups we missed that we should have mentioned, and especially groups where I have good friends, please apologize. I would like to apologize in advance, and I'm still good friends with you. Don't worry, this is not a hostile thing in any way. But yeah, let's head over to the chat now and talk about it. So all good, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
FairLight.